You ready?
Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. I am Peter Barber, professional opera singer and music producer, and today we're going to be checking out and breaking down Rise. This is by the Glitch Mob, Mako, and the Word Alive. This is the 2018 League of Legends World Anthem that I believe Mako wrote, and Mako has become a friend of mine. He was a guest on my podcast. I'll leave a link to that here, and we've been chatting about music and stuff ever since. So I'm really happy to dive into this masterpiece that he made for League of Legends. Guys, this is a reaction and analysis, so I will be pausing primarily to talk about vocal technique, although in this one, given my background with music production, I'll be talking probably a lot about the music production and the audio engineering as well, maybe even more than the vocals. So without further ado, let's get into it.
Welcome to the world. No.
God, even just that intro now, it doesn't seem like a lot's going on there. And comparatively, there is not much going on there, but we have this really cool synth going on. And then what also these animators do such a good job of is timing the visual elements with kind of the perfect sound effects. So you watch as like light is shimmering across this character's face, how they have these perfectly timed sound effects that you've got to remember. The thing about animation is that nothing's actually happening. It's all animated. It's made out of nothing. So they're creating this world, and part of making this world convincing is to have those sound effects perfectly match what you're seeing on screen. So synth, sound effects, and then of course we get into the first verse, which I believe Mako is the soloist on.
Welcome to the world, no heroes and villains. Welcome to the war, we've only begun. So pick up your weapon and face.
So that synth that started in the beginning, that keeps going. Obviously we get a nice kick snare. We get that coming in, and we also get...
Welcome to the world, no heroes and villains.
It's a lot of that. We have the lead vocal right in the middle, which I'll talk about in a second. We also have distorted vocals intentionally pitched down, and they get this kind of over-darkened, like almost fake monster-y sound to them, and those are kind of panned out left and right into the stereoscopic image. That's kind of where you're hearing the sounds from left to right. You'll hear some stuff in your right ear, some stuff in your left ear. That's the stereoscopic image. And so there's some distorted vocals there as well, which kind of adds this almost like mysterious atmosphere. It's kind of dark atmosphere around the lead vocal.
Welcome to the world, no heroes and villains. Welcome to the war, we've only begun. So
welcome. So starting up on E flat 4, this is obviously, you know, just upper middle voice for Mako, who is naturally, I'd probably naturally call him a baritone, maybe high baritone. I wouldn't call him a natural tenor. I wouldn't call him a natural bass. His voice is pretty naturally right there in the middle. So this isn't super high for him yet, but it is definitely in that upper middle range. Mako has this really cool kind of ethereal sound to his voice where he allows a lot of breathiness to come in, which literally just means more air is escaping through the vocal folds as they're vibrating. And it has this kind of smoky atmosphere around the sound, right? So it's not a hyper efficient use of the vocal folds where it's really pure like you would get in like a musical theater style belt. It's really smoky and perfectly fits the world that we're being drawn into here.
welcome to the war, we've only begun. So pick up your weapon and face it. There's blood on the ground, go and take it. You get one shot to make it out alive. So higher and higher.
So the whole time in this kind of pre to the pre-chorus, maybe this is part of the first verse, I suppose. There are harmonies. Mako is doing harmonies with himself, but they have been distorted to sound like that. That like really dark, spooky kind of. That's basically what happens when you tune things down or you change the formants. I won't get into all that, but distorted vocals doing the harmonies to his lead vocal. Just listen to all this. Happening the whole time.
You get one shot to make it out alive. So higher and higher you're chasing. It's deep in your bones, go and take it. This is your moment. Now is your time. So prove yourself and
epic, epic, epic. So in this pre-chorus, we get a nice riser, which means there's an element that's just going, which literally creates a physiological response. It's a great technique that I suppose EDM producers kind of made popular leading up to a drop. We get this here. It's pretty subtle, but we do get it. Also during this pre-chorus, the heavy kicks drop out and that heavy snare drops out, and it gets more to like kind of like almost like a more military snare drum, as opposed to like a big sampled, punchy snare drum. And that along with, it's actually rather minimal. So far the whole song's been rather minimal. There haven't been very many elements happening all at once yet. Some stuff drops out here. Big piano synth chords.
Now is your time, so prove yourself and rise, rise. Make them remember you. Push through heaven. Rise, rise. They will remember you. Welcome to the cloud.
It's powerful stuff, man. Really, really powerful stuff. And like the vocals are like, there's all this added like saturation and distortion on the vocals. And so we get like these gang vocals that are super intense. Obviously heavy drums, heavy synth bass happening underneath those drums. It's so epic. It's like such a perfect world anthem for League of Legends.
This is your moment. Now is your time, so prove yourself and rise, rise. Make them remember you.
It's really cool in the start there. They really go back and forth with rise, rise. So not all the big loud things are happening at once. We get the really loud kick and synth bass, and then we get the really intense vocals interspersed, which works really well from an audio engineering standpoint to keep all those elements loud and in your face. If you have all the things happening at once, it gets harder and harder for all the elements to be super clear and to not eat up too much space in the mix. You only have a certain amount of volume essentially that you can put into a mix. And so this is a brilliant technique where it goes back and forth, and so we get the intensity of everything.
Prove yourself and rise, rise. Make them remember you. Push through heaven. Rise, rise. They will remember you.
Yeah.
Welcome to the
There's just a great atmosphere. There's a lot of noise in the background, so there's basically no empty space. Some hi-hats came in that you could hear. There's all this delay happening in some of the background elements and some of the voices, so we're hearing them here and here and here and here and here and here. And so there's just basically no empty space, and it creates this kind of really epic wall of sound.
welcome to the climb up, reach for the summit.
Oh.
Visions pray the one falls, steadily the end. So
I love that kind of metallic hi-hat, but it doesn't sound like a hi-hat on like a standard drum kit. It sounds like someone is like hitting a metal pipe with a pencil. That's like kind of the image that comes to mind, which is better for this kind of like I don't know, futuristic, but like metal kind of reality we're looking at here.
The climb up, reach for the summit. Visions break, the one falls, steadily the end. So
Really great use of harmony there. So we get two voices from Mako. We get and so oh shit, I lost my pitches here. Hold up.
come to the climb up, reach for the summit.
Right here, this two-part harmony.
Visions break,
Okay, so the high harmony starts on an F sharp. That's what I was looking for. Really, just really elegant harmony here, and you know, not complicated. Two-part harmony, but these verses intentionally, they're more subdued, right? There's not as much happening in these verses as there is to these big epic choruses.
I'm up, reach for the summit. Visions break, the one falls, steadily the end. So higher and higher you chase it.
Back to the pre-chorus.
Blood go and take it. This is your moment. Take to the skies, go. Prove yourself and rise, rise. Make them remember you. Push through.
This all looks so much like Arcane, just like the animation and even how the characters are running. Now, I'm not paying as much attention to the animation because I'm thinking more about the music and what's happening, but as an absolute, like, Arcane is one of my favorite shows of all time, and so just noticing a few things that I'm catching while you know, paying minor attention to the video, but it's amazing. The animation is phenomenal. Just all of it. The storytelling in the video is phenomenal. It's all good, but I talk mostly about music. Very similar pre-chorus to the first one, and then very similar chorus as well. So we're not getting any major changes in those two sections from the first time we heard them.
In your blood, go and take it. This is your moment. Take to the skies, go. Prove yourself and rise, rise.
That's a high B natural, so that really is actually up in tenor range. If Mako is full chest voice belting that. I mean, baritones can do it, right? I'm a bass, and if I really need to, I can stretch my voice up around that high. I cannot sit there for very long. Sustainable, it's not sustainable, but I would still call him like a high baritone, maybe low tenor, but I'm leaning very much towards high baritone, who is really stretching that chest voice up for these rise, these really high belts on that high B natural.
Prove yourself and rise, rise.
It sounds very yelly, and really a high belt is physiologically very much like a yell. It's like a yell, and if it's a clean sound, if the phonation, if the vocal folds are making a clean sound, then there's no extra air or turbulence happening. It's just a very controlled yell, essentially, right? A normal person's yell, an untrained voice's yell, the vocal folds are gonna kind of bluster apart, and there's gonna be a lot of air and grit and more kind of intensity. But a really clean belt, like you hear in musical theater or opera singers, which is what I do professionally, it's a very clean sound. So it's all the power and breath support of a full-bodied yell, but you're keeping your vocal folds very, very tightly shut. To make a really efficient sound. And so Mako right now is really stretching that voice up. He's keeping the vocal folds efficient. I think the grit and distortion we hear is just audio. It's from an audio engineering side. I don't think it's coming from his voice. I think that's probably a use of what's called saturation, where it's a plugin for audio software where you add basically high harmonic content in the sound. So if you sing a pitch, it has a harmonic series. It creates a lot of frequencies above the one that's being sung. If you boost those a bunch, that's called saturation. And it often gives it like a distorted, kind of overblown feel. Could also be using an overdrive feature, which is similar. But I think it's coming from audio engineering and not actually from his voice.
Make them remember you. Push through and rise, rise. They will remember you.
Yeah, there's just a lot of distortion and editing on these vocals. Obviously, all the vocals are tuned and compressed and EQ'd and stuff. I don't mean that as far as editing. I mean additional editing, like distorting the sound, you know, maximizing the sound, overdriving the sound, saturating the sound, all that stuff, and then tuning the sound in a way that makes it darker. You know, based on some of the things I was talking about earlier, the formants and so on. It makes the throat sound much bigger. Funny enough, that's what we do in opera to give that warm sound. We literally drop our larynx and create space in the pharynx to create this big warm sound. But there's a lot of that going on, and I love this little bridge section because like pretty much all the elements drop out. It like becomes much more calm. It's mostly like the focus is mostly just this more subdued voice. That effect you heard of the air where it sounded like the voice was going underwater, they were using a filter, a frequency filter, an auto filter, and removing the higher frequencies in the sound. And if you do that, it makes it sound like the sound is going underwater. If you do it the opposite way, it is the same effect of a riser where it increases intensity, increases excitement leading towards something. But doing it the way this is, it was pulling back those frequencies to serve as a nice transition. It kind of removed that sound without ducking volume too much, but just if you remove some of those high frequencies, the sound naturally gets less grabby. It gets softer and kind of more gentle in a way. And now it's still going with just that low pass filter. So it's like the low part of those frequencies from that vocal bit are still happening, but it seems much more pulled back because it's just the lower frequencies. It is you fight among the dead beneath the dirt. Or do you know it? Or do you want it? And when the giants call to ask you what you're worth, or do you know it? We don't die. Prove yourself and rise. Make them remember. It is so, that build up to this final chorus is so epic, and the sound design is phenomenal, and the soundscape is so full and fleshed out. There's so many little elements, too many to talk about, but if you put on nice headphones and listen carefully, you can hear so many little things, little details that have gone in to make this song so incredible and so cinematic and so very much like soundtrack music. Which is, of course, what Mako also specializes in, being a part of Arcane. It's very cinematic, it's powerful, there's a lot of details to capture this world, to capture this atmosphere, and they've done, the mix is so clean that you can hear everything happening. And when the giants call to ask you what you're worth, do you know it? We don't die. Prove yourself and a very yelly vocal line, like that's been added. That is a new element we're getting in this final chorus we didn't have in the first two, where there's very yelly, gritty belt line in addition to everything we've heard before, and it's highlighted. Make them remember you. And that second part, so very clear they want us to hear that added intense voice. Make them remember you. Push through it. Rise. They will remember you. Prove yourself and rise. Pick up your weapon and face it. That's really cool to hear because we're so used to, when we're hearing rise, rise, right? This chorus, we're used to hearing the heavy drums and the heavy synth bass and everything. when you remove the drums like they do in this last section, it totally changes the vibe. It shows how important heavy drum sampling is to this kind of music. So epic. It's a masterpiece. It's so brilliant. Bravo, Mako. Bravo to the Glitch Mob and Word Alive and League of Legends for creating this amazing music. That's it, guys. That was my... I've obviously heard the song before. I might have seen the video at some point, but some level of a reaction to the video, and then of course a breakdown of the music. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you gained appreciation for these artists and League of Legends, and maybe some things happening from the audio engineering side. That's my whole goal here, is to enhance your musical experience. If I did that, please do consider joining my Patreon for free, actually, if you want. And then to get benefits, you can join, starting at $1. Otherwise, please do like this video. Please subscribe to my channel. Super, super helpful. Leave a comment for the algorithm. Could be saying, yes, Mako rules, or League of Legends is awesome. Doesn't matter. Helps the algorithm. And then hit that bell for notifications. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.